Good morning, class 12 students. Welcome back to the bio online classes. Today we are going to start the second chapter, that is reproduction in flowering plants. So in the first chapter already you have studied about the flower and the plant's life. Now today I have to say that each and every flowering plant, the one which produces flowers, fruits and seeds, complete their life cycle in two stages. What are they? Gametophytic and sporophytic stage. Gametophytic stage is the one in which the plants produces gametes. Like the male gamete in plants is known as pollens and the female gamete is called eggs, which is produced in the ovary. Now plant spends most of its life in the second stage, that is sporophytic stage. Gametophytic stage is only for a very short time, okay? And during that gametophytic stage the plants produces the male and the female gametes in it. Now next we have to study about flower. You know that flower is one of the very important organ of the plant, and it is used to convey our emotions like fear, hunger. Flower is used to show our emotions like during any type of greetings or when in the marriage and all, but we are using the flowers for decoration purpose, also for aesthetic value, like whenever we do some worship and all. Apart from that, the biological importance of flower, which is very important, is flowers is the reproductive organ of the plant. So it contains two main walls. What are they? Accessory and essential. Accessory walls are those part of the flowers which are not directly involved in reproduction, but they help to assist or they help in the process of reproduction. And these two parts are calyx and corolla. Calyx is the outermost layer of the flower, as you can see in the diagram which I have drawn here. The stalk of the flower is called pedicel and it helps to attach the flower to the stem. Then the outermost layer of the flower, which is green leaf-like structure, is called sepals, and together all the combined name or group name is calyx. So what is the function of calyx? It is green in color, so it will carry out photosynthesis, and since it is the outermost layer of the flower, it also helps to provide protection to the flower. Then we have the second layer of flower, which is called petals. Petals are brightly colored and the group name is corolla. So they attract insects for pollination and they'll help in the process of transfer of pollen grains, means attraction of pollen. This honeybees and other insects to carry out the process of pollination. Then the third part of the flower, it is known as stamens. Stamens are the male part of the flower. It consists of bilobed anther, means anther having two lobes, and long stalk which is called filament. It is sterile. And it is two parts together they form stamen. And when many stamens are present, the group name is called androecium, which is the male part of the flower. Then we have the female part of the flower, which is known as gynoecium. And each gynoecium consists of three parts. A broad flat stigma on which the pollens are deposited by wind, water or by the insects. So they are the receptive part of the pollen grains. Then we have a long stalk which is known as style. It is sterile, and at the base we have the swollen ovary in which the ovules are present. After fertilization, the ovary changes into fruit and the ovule develops into seed. So this is the diagram of a typical structure of a flower. Although flowers can be of different shape and size, they may be found growing in different places in different time of the year, and they may have different characteristics, but generally all of them have the same pattern of structure, means typical structure is almost same. So what is the meaning of essential walls of the flower? Essential walls are those layers of the flower which are necessary for fertilization. They contain both the stamens and the pistil. Stamens are the male part of the flower which is required for reproduction to produce the male gametes, that is pollens, and pistil is the female part of the flower which is required to produce the female gamete, that is the eggs. Okay, so now next what we have to study is about some terms which are related with the flower. So I will just talk about those important terms. What is the locule? First term, locule means the chambers in the ovary is called locule. Like if a ovary has one chamber, it is called unilocular. What is bilocular or multilocular? If many chambers are there in the ovary, it is called multilocular. Now next we have to study after this is some terms. According to the syllabus, those terms are not needed, but for your practical purpose you need to have a brief idea about all those terms along with a diagram. So I will just say about it, and when we meet in the practical classes, that time once again I will go through those terms, like some examples are there. What is a complete flower? A flower in which all the four whorls, that is calyx, corolla, and rhizome, gynoecium, all four are present, that is called complete flower. A flower in which any one of the whorls is lacking or absent, it is known as incomplete flower. Now next terms are there, perfect and imperfect flower. Perfect flower means the one which is bisexual, means in which both male and female parts are present, that is stamens are also there and pistils are also there. But imperfect flower is also unisexual flower in which either male part, that is stamen, is present. If the flower contains only stamen, it is called a staminate flower, and if the flower contains both stamen and pistil, that is only pistil, it is called pistillate flower. If both are present, it is called bisexual or hermaphrodite flower. Then next we have to study is what is monoecious and dioecious. You have heard about the term monoecious. A plant in which, monoecious is a plant in which both the male and female flowers are present, that is known as monoecious. But when both male and female flowers are present in two different plants, it is known as dioecious. What is it called? Dioecious. Okay, now next, what is there is relative position of floral parts. Three terms are there. What are they? Hypogynous, perigynous, epigynous. It refers to the position of ovary with respect to the other floral parts. Hypogynous means, hypo means, the prefix hypo means less. So when rest all floral parts are present below the ovary, it is called hypogynous. If it is present above, it is known as perigynous. Like in case of perigynous, you can say cup-shaped structure around the ovary, that is called perigynous. Perigynous means in which it is inserted below the ovary. So hypo, peri and epigynous means if they are present around it, that is in the same symmetry. Now next we have to study is what is symmetry. Symmetry of the plants or the flower. If there are three terms used, asymmetric means when the flower cannot be cut into two equal halves by passing through any plane. But if a flower can be cut into two equal halves by passing through a vertical section which passes through the center of the flower, then such a flower is called a chilomorphic flower. But when a flower can be divided into two similar halves by a vertical section in one plane only, that is called zygomorphic flowers. Now next we have estivation. What is the meaning of estivation? The mode of arrangement of sepals, petals in the flower is known as estivation. So mode, how the flowers are arranged, that is known as estivation. So there are different terms used for it. One example is velvet estivation. I will show you the example. When the unit or the members of sepals are in contact with each other only with the tips, like the end part, the terminal part is in contact, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If they are in contact with each other, such an arrangement is called velvet estivation. So if there is, like if the sepals or petals are arranged in this way, in this manner, in which only their last part, that is the tip, are in contact with each other, such arrangement is called velvet. Similarly, we have other arrangements like twisted, imbricate and vexillary, which we'll discuss later during the practical classes. Now next is calyx. You know that calyx is the outermost layer of the flower and it is green in color. So there are two terms associated with it. What is that? Gamosepalous and polysepalous. Gamo means united, sepalous means sepals. So if all the sepals are fused with each other, the term is used gamosepalous. When the sepals remain free from each other, it is called polysepalous. P-O-L-Y, polysepalous. Similarly, in terms of petals also, that same word is used, gamopetalous, means if the petals are united with each other, that is called gamopetalous, and when the petals are free from each other, it is called polypetalous. Now next one is corolla, already said. Cohesion of petals, already I have talked. Now cohesion of stamens. You know that stamens is the male part of the flower. Now when the stamens join with each other to form a single bundle, like the anthers are free here, but the stamen, this one, the filament is fused together, okay? And this fused together to form one bundle, then it is known as monoidal. First, what is called? monoadelphous. Check their spelling, monoadelphous. M-O-N-O, monoadelphous. M-O-N-A, not M-O-N-A-D-E-L-P-H-O-U-S, monoadelphous. Means when the filaments fuse together to form one bundle only, it is called monoadelphous. But if there are many filaments and all of them fuse together like this to form two bundles, like here one bundle, the next one is another bundle. This is called diadelphous condition. Okay. Now next one is length of stamens, didynamous and tetradynamous. What is didynamous? Didynamous means, okay. Now next one is length of stamens. There are two conditions according to length of stamens, didynamous and tetradynamous. In didynamous, the word is didynamous. Okay. D-I-D-Y-N-A-M-O-S. In didynamous, out of 4 stamens which are present, 2, the inner one is short, like this one is short stamens are there, and 2 outer stamens are big. Such a condition is called didynamous condition. In tetradynamous condition, tetra means 4. So if the inner 4 one is long, like 4 stamens are long, and 2 outer one is short, such a condition is called tetradynamous. Like here didynamous is there, similarly instead of di there will be tetradynamous condition. Okay, now next one is adhesion of stamens. The word which is used is epipetalous. Stamens which stick to the corolla. If stamen is the male part and if it sticks to the corolla, corolla is the brightly colored part of the flower, that is called epipetalous. And epiphyllous, the word I will write here, epipetalous. Stamens attached with petals. As you can see, epipetalous, stamens attached with petals. Stamens attached with petals, it is called epipetalous. But if stamens are attached with sepals, it is known as episepalous. The word which is used is epiphyllous. So epiphyllous. What is the meaning of epiphyllous? Stamens fused with or attached with sepals. Epiphyllous. Stamens, when the stamens are adhering to the perianth, not sepals. Perianth, you know. Now this term I have to say what is perianth. Stamens fused with the perianth, it is called epiphyllous. Now you should know what is the meaning of perianth. Then only you can move ahead. Perianth means when the sepals and petals are undifferentiated. You cannot demarcate between them or differentiate between them. So you can write the word undifferentiated. Undifferentiated sepals and petals. Undifferentiated sepals and petals are known as perianth. Just like we have the calyx, corolla and all. So perianth is there, and the unit of perianth means the single part is called tepals. T-E-P-A-L-S. What is tepals? Tepals is the unit of perianth. When they are undifferentiated, when you cannot distinguish which one is calyx, this one sepal, which one is petals, both of them are fused together, that word is perianth. And the smallest part of it is called tepals. Okay. Now next we have nature of anthers. Dithecous, monothecous, already I said. Now, number of locules in ovary. If a single unilocular, one chamber in the ovary, it is known as unilocular. Like this one in the ovary, I have drawn only one chamber is there. But if I draw, that word which is used is unilocular. Locule is the word used for chamber. Okay. Uni means single. If it is bilocular means there are 2 chambers in the ovary. Like if I draw from here, 1, 2 chambers are there. Okay, if it is 3 chambers, 4 chambers. Now if 3 trilocular it will be there. So same structure I will draw. Trilocular, how to draw this one? From here I can draw 1, 2, 3 chambers. See, there are 3 chambers of the ovary. This is called trilocular. If 4, tetralocular. If many, then it is called multilocular. Okay. Now next is placentation. What is placentation? The arrangement of placenta in the ovary is known as placentation. What is placentation? Arrangement of ovary in the placenta is known as placentation. Okay. Okay, now the next topic which we are going to study is pollination. You know what is pollination? The transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma of a flower is called pollination. So I'll just write the definition. Transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of the flower. To stigma of a flower is called pollination. Now this pollination is further divided into two types. What are they? Self-pollination and cross-pollination. Self-pollination and number B, that is cross-pollination. Now self-pollination is further divided into two types. What are they? Autogamy and geitonogamy. Autogamy and number 2 is geitonogamy. Okay. Cross-pollination is also known as allogamy. The other name is allogamy or allogamy. Okay, now look. First one is self-pollination. How to define it? Self-pollination is transfer of pollen grains from anther of a flower, like this is the anther of the flower, to the stigma of another flower. From anther to stigma, transfer of pollen occurs within the same, if it occurs within the same flower, it is called autogamy. But if it occurs between two flowers, like one flower is here, another flower is here, and both of them are present in the same plant, they are born in the same plant, then from here, transfer occurs here on the stigma. This type of pollination is called geitonogamy. This one example already, name is here. This is called geitonogamy and this one is called autogamy. If within the same flower, it is called autogamy, like from here to here only, autogamy. But if transfer occurs from one flower to the next flower and both of them are present in the same plant, it is called geitonogamy. Now what is cross-pollination? Like if one flower is present here, another flower is present in another plant, and now transfer of pollen occurs from this flower to the other flower, both the flowers burn in two different plants, such a pollination is called cross-pollination. Okay, so now next we have to study about what is the contrivances of or adaptations for self-pollination. It is there in the syllabus. Contrivances means how the flowers are adapted for self-pollination. Number 1, homogamy. Homogamy is condition. Homogamy means condition in which the flowers are sterilized to their own pollens. Like within a flower, its own pollens will never carry out pollination. Its other pollens will not cause pollination. So homogamy means, homo means within one flower only the pollens will meet or it will fall on the stigma of that flower and bring about pollination. So homogamy is the condition when anthers and stigma of a flower, they will mature at the same time. Like anther is also matured, stigma is also matured. Both of them mature at the same time. Maturity is at the same time. That condition is called homogamy. The second one is cleistogamy. In cleistogamy flower, the cleistogamy flowers are bound to be pollinated by their own pollens. Why? Cleistogamy means covering. So around the stigma there is some covering which is present around the stigma of the flowers to prevent cross-pollination. So the only chance which is left for